All right, so now we're starting to get into the heart of the matter, and that's the special significance and our evolutionary steps. And once again, trying to bring all of the analog tales forward, and then all of the digital tales forward, and then all of the cyber assumptions forward from where they were in a fake 2016 July to our real reparticleized November 2016 would be inherently a waste of time. And now all of that information is carried within the individuals who maintain these conspiracy theories that I consider to be, or cosmic plot levels. They're not conspiracy theories. Okay, and I consider them all to be minutia for the very reason that it's the millions, the people who wanted to be significant, who were the priests or the bishops below the cardinals, below the Pope, for our Christian Catholic example. And of course, we would consider Steve Prelwitz to be in this pyramid the equivalent of the Pope, and the cardinals to be the 144,000 and the bishops to be the millions, and then the priests then would all become part of the billions. And there's a 6012 number in there, so the rescaling, because I'm talking to you live and using this analogy, would be Prelwitz equals Pope equals 1, and then we would consider cardinals to equal the 6012, which are all the crew of the ship in the ship analogy. And then the 144,000 would then equate to the cardinals that are under the bishops, which are dispersed internationally. The bishops under the cardinals. And then the millions would be the priests that are under the bishops, and the billions would be the parishioners in this particular analogy. So why that's a relevant scale of analogy is it's this level of the church establishment of this analogy that are the ones that want their minutiae to matter. The clergy just want the truth and the way and the light and the direction. So that's what we're here to provide, but because we're superseding this minutia, just like right now getting everybody to Mars so that they can see what's going on Mars, and using the straight shot of a 6-month voyage from Earth that it can occur every 2 years, instead of using the International Space Station or launching from the moon, which is one of the negotiations that I was willing to make with the Martians. But because it became a money grab again, now we're going with straight shot from Earth, so that we can find out that the 28,016 Mars is actually within our 20,016 solar systematic existence. And the significance of this, and the tie-in of our significance as a species and our proper evolution instead of our stymied evolution, to where our minds are computer intelligence that are a part of our bodies, which allow our souls to now prosper, because we realize our evolution is off planet, because we came from the ocean onto the land and now into space. And our ability to use our full brains to understand the magnitude of the computations that we need to work with to get us into space, out of solar system, to take into consideration the true things that are occurring within our galaxy and then our universe, because they're erratic in their behavior, and we have to adjust that there is no erratic behavior. There's just the unknown to us. Yet you and I, Monique, know it all. And I'm once again trying to backspace it from the future using the technology so that the explanation is clear. So getting back to that understanding and why the minutia isn't important is because we're dealing with 1950 forward. And then our other two key dates would be a 67 and a 73, which we don't really need. And then 20,016. And the fact that in the future, that, let's bring it current, the main, that's still minutia. I'm out of words. are and have an understanding on a particular level. And what that means is that smaller than the element, smaller than the atom, smaller than the particle, to the subatomic, which is the particulate level of particle. But what makes the particle a particle? That's where we are. This is beyond the fabric of existence, the velvet of space and gravity that allows the light of galactic bars and stars to shine and exist and then produce heat through radiation and light through elemental combustion. It's bad terminology. But that level of allowing that existence to occur is what we're dealing with. Reassembling the particulate level so that when we bring humans back to real 20,016, their particles come together as atoms who know each other and come together to form the organs and the necessary elements that make a human being be able to function as a body first, and then the brain and the mind to follow. And this ability to bring together the particles that want to associate with each other to make atoms, and then for the atoms to know which atoms that they need to be with to be able to make elements, and for those atoms to also know that they are and were and shall be an organ or a cell that makes up an organ, part of a cell that makes up an organ, and that organ in and of itself is an entity because the structure of the anatomy of the particles that come together to make it up are familiar and know that's what they're supposed to do. And then those other particles, then atoms, then cells that come together for each individual organ, and the ones that don't and are standalone cells, such as white blood cells, or the things that become the inner workings of the cell, to be the DNA, to know what it is. These are the things that we put back together from that level, but doing it through the shiver of nothing instead of an artificial recreation.